Welcome, everybody. You are listening to the Playing On podcast. My name is Carl Markowski, and thank you for joining me. This episode is brought to you by Charm City Paintball. I don't know if you guys have seen him or not. He's on Instagram and Facebook. He's making the hottest headgear out right now. It's all hand sewn, all the fabrics and everything that everything he finds and he makes is all very rare, like 10 runs or less. He has made the American flag headband that I wear from now and then. I know I wear it on my pack. I believe most of the shot guys right now are wearing Charm City headgear. But you can find him over at Charm City Paintball on Instagram as well as Facebook. All kinds of new unique stuff. He has tie-back head wraps. He has Velcro head wraps. The headbands are awesome. I love the old school sewn stuff. Not a big fan of like the sublimation and kind of the feel. And I like the old school fabric, the tough, like just will last and go through anything. So if you guys are interested at all, he's also down to make unique one-off stuff, and I think that's really cool. He's very down to earth. I actually did a podcast with him. His name is Mike Thompson. So if you guys are interested at all, go ahead and head back and listen to that one. He's a great guy, cool story. But yeah, his company is Charm City Paintball. Make sure you guys check it out. We are also brought to you by Carbon Paintball, who has now have an SC line along with a CC line, and these two have very small differences in the product because it's all quality work. I wear the base layer SC bottoms and tops. I've been wearing them for a few years now, and I'll tell you what, it's been an amazing difference when I'm playing or even when I'm not playing. You know, it's one of those things where you try or you don't try. As soon as you get done playing, you rip off your knee pads and your elbow pads, and you try and gear down and cool down. Even while I'm wearing this stuff, I don't feel that overheating effect or anything like that. It's very, very comfortable. Sometimes you hardly even feel that you're wearing it, and I very much suggest it. Not only because it's a sponsor of the podcast, but also because it's great gear. They also have packs, they have jerseys, they have pants, they have all kinds of stuff. They have these really cool thermal pods that actually change color when they've been on your back for too long and out in the sun, and they pretty much tell you when you should switch out your pod. So check them out, carbonpaintball.com. If you guys are ordering anything, make sure you use the promo code capital TPOP for the Playing On podcast, and you will get 10% off your entire order. So yeah, head over there, grab some stuff. Thank you, Charm City Paintball. And we are also brought to you by Planet Eclipse, the makers of the best markers on the planet. I have an E-Tech that I have been using and shooting and dinking around with wherever I go, and they're probably getting mad at me for pushing it so much, but it's amazing. And I've had nothing but great responses when I've had people use it. I think it's one of the best markers they've ever made, and retail on it is under $300. I think it's even under $250. Don't quote me on that. I don't know what I'm talking about. But they've also made the CS1, the CS2, the LV1, the LV1.5, the LVR. They have all kinds of crazy gear. And they not only make amazing markers, they also have elbow pads, jerseys, pants, all kinds of soft goods. Make sure you check them out, planeteclipse.com. And yeah, another great company that I'm super stoked to be involved with. So thank you to all of our sponsors. This episode is with Greg Siewers. I've known Greg for a long time. He has been around the circuit for a long time, has been at the top of his game for a while, and is now making his rounds with the LA Ironmen, who just took second in Chicago. A great performance. I mean, I'm very surprised that they haven't performed like this sooner. But I mean, just like any good, any good ingredients or any good mixture, or any good recipe. It takes time to brew and sit and grow, and that was proven over in Chicago. So, without further ado, here is the podcast with Greg Siewers. Enjoy. So, what are you looking at? Is there another screen that you're looking at?
Yeah, I had a second screen. I just dropped it onto my laptop so I can look at one thing.
Are you a gamer?
No.
No?
I do workout programs and stuff. So I have this library that I've created from hyperlink exercises. So I just drag and drop, and it's easier with two screens.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to that level yet.
Dude, it was my best investment ever.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the screen costs like $50, and it makes my life so much easier.
I would have thought it cost. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong screens.
Oh,
it's just a separate monitor completely, right?
Yeah, it's just literally a monitor that I plugged in with an HDMI.
Nice.
Yeah, works well.
Yeah, I need to organize myself better. Maybe I need to second screen it up downstairs or something.
Yeah, that is where it's at for sure.
So what's up, man? What's new?
Just working, dude. I just got back from a clinic in Utah. I worked all day today on the training stuff, and then I'm heading up to wine country tomorrow to keep working on a house we're rebuilding.
Really?
Yeah, moving and shaking, my friend. Moving and shaking.
So you're in California?
Yeah, Sacramento area.
Are you from California?
I'm originally from Boston area.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I moved out here when I joined Excessive in 2007.
2007. Jeez. Let's I forgot you played for Excessive. You played for a few teams though throughout the years, right?
A lot.
Is there a I'm not trying to call you out on anything or nothing you don't have to talk about anything or whatever, but I mean, was it the organizations themselves? Was it kind of something where you just felt like you didn't fit at the time? Or I'm sure we'll go through the timeline of the teams as we go through your career. Sure. But mainly kind of was that, were you just kind of trying to find your home slowly as the years went on?
A bit. I mean, actually a lot of the teams I played for were like survival teams where I jumped on that squad just so I didn't have to not be pro because I worked so hard to earn it.
Yeah.
So like Excessive, when I quit Excessive, which was the first pro team I quit, I went out there and they basically, I was messaging Rich over and over and over, and he wouldn't respond to me about like what was going on in the off season. So I drove 2 hours to his house and knocked on his door and was like, "Hey dude, like what's going on?" And he goes, I don't know what we're going to have for sponsorship next year. I don't know who we have for players. And I got nervous. So lo and behold, like that was the first time I went out. I tried out for the Ironmen. I went back to Rich and was like, "Hey man, like I got to quit. I found another spot." But I mean, between Bushwhackers folded, Aftermath was the same thing as the Rich thing. They just didn't call me back one time. So I just always made sure I had a spot to be.
Yeah. So let's go back. Let's go back to when you first started. Discovered paintball. Tell me. Okay, before we get into that, let me ask you a question. Was it a birthday party?
It wasn't a birthday party.
Okay. All right. I have a little tally going to see how many are birthday parties, how much are something else. So how did paintball come about in your life?
Paintball totally stumbled into my life. So my mom was a teacher, and for her classroom, she used to go to this recycling center in Providence area, and they had equipment you could buy by the pound. So she'd go there to get her notebooks and pens. Well, upstairs from that, one random weekend was a paintball field. And my dad went with her, heard it, walked upstairs to check it out. We went as a family when I was 9 years old. And
Indoor?
Indoor, yeah. Yeah, taught indoor from P&L Paintball. It was something they had for like a handful of years. We used to call it the hamster cage. It was literally concrete with wood bunkers and sawdust on the floor.
Dude, I've heard so many of these stories. Like, even the indoor that I used to play at was dirt over top of tile. And then they eventually got bunkers, but the paint would corrode and like just coagulate and pretty much turn into concrete. So then you'd have these spots that everybody goes to in front of the bunkers because the field never changed. So you'd go to the spots in front of the bunkers, which were half and half, like half concrete-ish rocks, half dirt and dust, and then you right there underneath, about an inch underneath the dirt, you have tile. But then everywhere else, if you got to dive anywhere else, it's all like super solid, nasty concrete.
Oh yeah, dude, we played on a sand field that was indoor. That doesn't work well with coagulated paint. We played on a concrete floor that literally had like, not even carpet, it had bath mats in front of each bunker where you would slide, and you can imagine what those looked like after a little while. And it was hyperball, so like it wasn't absorbing anything. Yeah.
No.
When I moved west, I was like, this is amazing.
Dude, I don't understand. Like, I mean, was there no kind of safety factor with the insurance companies or the field owners or anything going, man, maybe this is a terrible idea? Like, nobody second guessed themselves.
I gotta say, a lot of those fields that I played at either adapted and got turf like towards the end when I was moving, like getting ready to move, or they went out of business. You know, it was one or the other. So
yeah,
apparently there was no safety.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was around here. It's like fields would kind of pop up, and in the Midwest around the Indiana, Ohio, Michigan kind of area, it was just they pop up and then they disappear, and then they pop up here and then disappear, and there are only a very few that would kind of just stick around. And even then, now we only have one field within 2.5 hours of where I live. That's like, yeah. But that field isn't even speedball anymore or airball. It's all just rec play, and there's only 2 fields, like 2 actual paintball fields at this one place. And paintball's not even the main thing there.
Yeah, see, that's you know
difficult.
What it is? I think a lot of fields pop up because I think it's I'll just work this field on the weekends, I'll make income, and it'll be good. Because I think a lot of field owners don't even know about the world of paintball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just look at it as a business. I did sales per die
for a little bit, and that's what I got. Yeah.
Yeah. So is that so? You're not doing that anymore?
No. I left Dye's sale team. I helped them a little bit on the marketing side, but now I'm still with the Ironmen, obviously, and I'm doing real estate here in Sacramento.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's probably a little bit more lucrative than the sales.
Yeah, I figured it's time to grow up.
Well, that's what I mean. That's at least when we first started playing paintball. Because how old are you?
I'm 29.
You're 20. Yeah, so we're pretty much in the same semi sort of realm for the most part. But you know, it's like when we first started playing paintball, the whole dream was to get paid to play, and the only way that usually would happen is like having a job in the industry somewhere. So that was like the next dream, was to try and find a job in the industry. And then once you kind of figure that both of those were like a long shot, not necessarily a long shot maybe to find a job in the industry, but it's kind of like, did you really want to do it? Like, do you really want to do it?
Yeah, I think that's the question for everyone who gets a chance to work in the industry is like, does this work for you? Do you want to do both? Because doing both is tough.
And it becomes something where it's like just playing paintball. You're not getting paid just to play paintball now. It's kind of like one of those things where playing is kind of a part of what you're doing, but you also have to focus on this other part that's paying the bills more. And it's like, it's trying to balance everything. I think that's just the toughest part for pros now.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of guys, I say a lot, there's a handful of guys that I'm friends with that do like the minimalistic thing. Because if you want to do what we're talking about, like play paintball, work in the industry, you pretty much don't even need a house. You need a storage unit because you're going to travel so much. So I know guys like, I think Tim Montressor is a perfect example. He used to, lease a Cadillac, and he had his nice house, and he just started cutting back because he's like, dude, I'm gone 3/4 of the year at the minimum, so you just cut back.
Yeah, and it helps to not have kids or a family or anything like that you really...
That's a whole nother project.
Oh, man. Yeah, was it that you just got engaged, or did you get married, or what?
Yeah,
Something happened recently.
Something happened.
I try not to go on the internets too much, but it was recently though, right?
Yeah, I got engaged in February, but she's super busy too, so we kind of pushed the wedding back till summer of this coming year.
Oh, congratulations, man.
Thanks, man. She's cool.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. I'm glad.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. let's jump back into your paintball timeline. So you discovered this well, your father discovered this paintball field that was a couple stories above where your mom was getting her supplies. Now, did you guys go that weekend or something just to check it out? Did you say?
I don't know what the timeline was. I mean, after my dad came back, he told us about it, decided he wanted to bring us as a family. So me, my brother, and my two sisters all played. And I don't think they really enjoyed it, but I was hooked straight from the get-go. And I remember I was 9 because, sorry P&L, my dad lied because the cutoff for insurance was 10. So I remember he leaned in and he goes, if anyone asks, you're 10 years old. I'm like, okay, I'm ready.
Nice, dude.
Yeah. So sometime in that time frame.
Now, were you athletic as a kid, or did you play a lot of sports or anything, or competitive?
Oh yeah, I had my foot in everything. Like I played every major sport that you would as a kid: baseball, soccer. I played soccer for like 14 years total when I was done. But even then, like I was getting into skating, and I knew I wanted to be an athlete. I didn't care how. Yeah. I just knew I wanted to be.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was too. I was like. Well, at least I played soccer a lot when I was a kid, and then as I got to kind of like the high school years is when I just started focusing on football and baseball. But then also I snowboarded and I skated, so it was kind of a mix. But I never considered myself like a jock. Like I didn't really hang, and that's the thing is I never really hung out with a lot of the guys from baseball or football, because once I discovered paintball, I was hanging out with all those guys that were from like Michigan and everywhere else, and a lot of my focus started going towards that. But anything that I could do where it was physically demanding on my body, I was totally into it.
100% challenge accepted at every turn.
Yeah. Was there anything that kind of took off besides paintball that you were like maybe thinking about taking a little bit more serious?
Not in particular. I mean, it's hard to say when it was really high school era that I had to make my decision because it was between soccer and paintball. But at the time, there was no question. I guess the only reason I'd say soccer was optional was because the school I came from, we were the best in the area, like by far. If we took second place, it was a sin. So I think there was an opportunity to probably go to college with scholarships and see where that went. But once paintball came around, there was no other option.
Yeah, you just started playing just constantly, and you saw yourself getting better. So, like, obviously, in any athlete, once they see progression, like at any level, once like even right now, we did chokes today in jiu-jitsu, and my neck is like killing my Adam's apple. Like my Adam's apple kind of sticks out a little bit, so that's like just a peak that people just crank on. And we were doing these chokes. I was like, man, like this is like, do I want to do this? Like, is my body ready to kind of like take the next step? Because I just got my 2 stripes as a white belt. Like everybody starts everywhere, but I'm seeing these small steps. Yeah. And I'm seeing these. I'm starting to get like slowly get compliments and this and that from like other white belts and even from higher belt rankings. And it's those things that. The questions in your head that you're asking yourself that other people are reassuring you, and I think as an athlete you can agree with me, like once those things kind of start happening, like okay, like this is something that I could maybe start taking a little bit more serious and maybe kind of start tackling. And I love that feeling.
Those little victories. Nothing beats it. And jiu-jitsu's a lot like paintball. Like you outsmart someone for the first time and you see your little like bit of domination, and I just it's like that inner savagery in you that just wants more. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like and the same thing with even with defeat. Like I think a true athlete and a true competitor, even in defeat, can respect and appreciate what happened, and then take that not have amnesia about the next point of kind of just forgetting about what happened, especially if you lost or anything like that. But then taking that and then spinning it around as either fuel for the next one or like a learning experience or a good mix of both.
Yeah, I would totally agree. As long as you're in the fight, or at least for me, as long as you're in the fight and you can walk away knowing that you did everything you possibly knew how or could, then yeah. If not, if you had an off day, you were tired or whatever, then I'm just like, this was a waste. What was I doing? It's a totally different feeling.
Yeah, and you feel like with paintball too, you kind of feel you have this in control but out of control feeling. It's hard to explain because there's so many variables that are happening that you have to be so mentally strong, because all it could take is maybe you getting shot twice off the break going somewhere, and you could see somebody's demeanor just go just drop completely. Like, dude, you cannot let any of that shit happen because it's complete random. It's complete random that guy's going to be able to put maybe another ball in the same spot again, especially if you made it the time after the 2 times you got shot, but you had a ball go 3 inches in front of your face and the other one he shot, went right by your pack. So it's just complete random. Now, if you start making moves that are questionable and like, hey man, you probably should have like thought about it a little bit more or anything like that, but otherwise you got to be so mentally strong in this sport, and it's a lot more than being physically demanding, that's for sure.
Yeah. It takes time to learn that too, because you go through all the crazy adrenaline fueled emotions anyway. Like you get angry and then you get upset, and then there's that one point in time where you start to blame other people, but like there's just so many parts that just drive you. You have to like humble yourself and get Zen going.
And I think early on, I think a lot of people went through this, or at least I did. It was just like you said. I think you have that kind of that. Well, it wasn't me. That wasn't my fault. And you try and look at it, and I don't think it's until you have that experience and you have that kind of that veteran mentality and experience to where you can actually look at things from a little bit different of a perspective and go. You can start seeing things more clear, and then your timing becomes more smooth. Your communication to your teammates becomes a lot more clear, and they understand shit you're saying a lot better. And I think that's what we try and convey at these clinics. And I'm pretty sure every person that's went to your clinic or a Marcelo clinic or a Greenspan or anybody out there, any of the veteran pros that have done this, what we try and preach more is your basics, obviously, of your stances, your snap shooting, your elbows, this and that. But we try and push more is the mentality state of the rights and the wrongs, the when you should and when you shouldn't kind of thing. And there's so many people who are like, oh, this is a great drill. You might be able to do this, you might be able to do that. But until you actually take it to the paintball field and you go through the repetition and you have those steps that you go through and those trials and those errors and those mistakes, until you make those and you figure those out, that's all we're doing at these clinics is showing you these things. You have to take them the next step. Yeah. And that's what I try and tell so many people that.
No, it's absolutely true. I mean, like I said, Kyle Spick and I just did a clinic last weekend, and we did one day where we incorporated, the real basic techniques, gun skills, blah, blah, blah. But then day 2 was so much more fun because we did a specific team clinic, and all we did all day long was team drills and concepts, like try to make people understand why. And then there's always the question like, oh, was this right? Well, is that right? Well, yes, this time it was, but the next time if this happens, it's not. So you just have to literally understand a concept, know why things happen, and then just run it over and over and over again until you can understand the grander scheme, and start recognizing scenarios.
Yeah, and trusting yourself, trusting your feelings, trusting your gut, because when you play front like we do, it's so much more of it's a control game for sure. I mean, you as front players, we're trying to control the back players and vice versa from a back player to a front player. So that's a great close game that I love playing. But not only that, but it's also that feeling. It's so many things too that you try and you try and teach at clinics that you can't teach. You're trying to explain them, but it's so hard to teach. Like a rhythm of the guy shooting at you and being able to time that rhythm out to where maybe you head check here and he draws his gun down and you run that way, or you can feel when he's shooting, or you can sense when he's loading without even looking at him. It's like there's so many things that you can't teach somebody. It's just something you kind of grow up doing.
Yeah, it's the sixth sense of paintball.
I love it, dude. It's so much like I just love being the age I am now and the experience that I have now, because of those little nuances that we kind of do, and some of the younger guys don't have yet. But yeah, I mean, that's being this age and this experience in paintball or in any sport, and being able to kind of have a trickle down effect.
It is cool when people are like, "Hey, I try to model my moves after you," and I'm like, "Sweet, man! I don't know if it's a good idea, but it works for me."
I know. I know, because I'm a risk taker. I'll admit it. I like taking risks. It's big risk, big reward, or whatever that saying is. But I mean, I definitely play with my head too. But what's fun for me are those times, are those close quarter battles, and just trying to make the other guy across from me guess what I'm gonna do. Because I feel like in the pros too, I feel like it can get very very repetitive, because everybody's so fucking locked in and so tight on their shots. It's almost like, I try and think like, well, what would I do in this situation? So whenever I'm playing somebody, I kind of like, okay, well, I would probably try and shoot me in and go to this next spot or whatever. But you at the top level, you have to have your shit on, but you have to be unpredictable. Otherwise, you're gonna get picked off. Yeah, and that's what I love trying to do.
It's literally my favorite part of paintball is juking people. That's why I shoot with one hand low and come out high, and why I tactical retreat and do all these other ridiculous things. But sometimes they work, and I swear there's a grandmaster scheme that I kind of had along the way that adrenaline blinded half of it, but I thought this would work. And I don't know, like you kind of relating to what you said before, is being willing to make that mistake once or twice is what allows you to get away with those things more often.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's doing it at practice. It's trying it out at practice. And not, I'm not saying don't take practice seriously, but you have to, especially like when you're learning a field or anything like that. That's what you're trying to do. You're learning the field. You're feeling out what works and what doesn't work, and how the field flows, because the field has a flow. You have to find it, but there is that stream that runs through the middle of the field, or it might run this way, or it might run that way. And until you kind of make those moves and make those mistakes at practice, you're not gonna find them.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, and we talk about it all the time. I think my famous quote I was leaning over Bobby, and I had this weird play that I wanted to try, and I was like, they called the 5 seconds to start the practice play, and I was like, Bobby, I hope this works, before the game started. Like, I promise nothing, but I have a cool idea.
Yeah, well, and that's what it takes, man. That's what it takes, is an idea, and that's what I don't want to see this sport or the new players. I don't want them to get into this robotic mentality of like snap, shoot, and move, snap, shoot, up, down, left. Like, just to be able to relax a little bit and play the game rather than, just being so.
Yeah, but that's why every clinic you go to and I go to, there's always that one kid that's like, hey man, play me in a one-on-one, because they think if their gun skills beat me in gun skills that one time, that they're as good as I am. You know what I mean? It like solidifies their thought process, instead of going, okay, you can win that gunfight, but I'm going to go this way and I'm going to end up shooting you in your ear because you're not paying attention. Like that. Right. That realm just gets missed sometimes, and I have my theories as to why, but that's another story.
I have all night. I'm ready. But let's do this. So because we kind of went off on a tangent. Mostly the tangents are mine that I just kind of like pull way out of the side. But but I think we were back to your high school years when you kind of had made a decision between soccer and paintball. What you were already kind of you made up your mind, right, in the paintball direction?
Yeah, so to kind of like back it, is I went for the first time when I was 9. When I was 12, I started really getting into paintball, like playing every weekend style. And at one point between basically 14 and 16, I was playing 4 times a week.
Jeez.
Yeah, I was practicing Wednesday nights at the Hurricanes camp, the New England Hurricanes, for the guys that remember, right?
Yeah.
I was working Saturday mornings at a paintball field for a case of paint so that I could play that afternoon. Saturday
Been there,
nights,
dude.
Yeah.
Been there, working for cases of paint, for sure.
Yeah. Saturday nights, we had that same indoor that I grew up on to ourselves with like all the guys who basically taught me how to play. So we would go have a fun night on Saturday night, and then on Sunday I had team practice. So literally I was playing 4 times a week by the time before I was 16.
Jeez. I mean, that's what it takes. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what it takes to really figure yourself out. I mean, so you were on a team at this point.
Yeah, I was playing for a couple of the guys who helped coach the New England Hurricanes. Originally, it was Horror Show, which was just a local store, and then I moved to a national team called PTI, which was run by another local store.
Did you have to try out for that team?
Not really. I kind of got recruited from the Horror Show team because the owner there, Dave Adams, was letting everyone know that I was serious, because I was serious. I was spending every weekend at his store, learning the guns, learning the concepts, learning the games. So when I was on his team, he was constantly trying to help push me to a national team. So I wasn't given a spot, but I got there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when hard work comes into play and people notice, I mean, doors start opening.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's obvious. You stand out from all the people who don't,
Yeah. I mean, it's hard work.
Yeah.
Hands down. So where did it go from here? So this PTI was a national team, right?
Yeah, so I was playing D3, which was the lowest at the time, and that was MPPL.
So was that what year was that?
Ooh, so that was 2004. That was it? I think it was just the 1 year.
I wonder, did you ever play Tipman Effect?
Oh yeah.
So we might have played each other.
I think we might have. Actually, I remember a Tipman Effect game because we were on the JT field, and I crawled to your snake 2, like off the break, and the shocker I was shooting broke. And I couldn't shoot anybody. It was like waking up in a nightmare. Like, oh no.
Yeah.
I actually think you guys beat us that game too.
Dude, we had a decent team that year. Yeah, right. I remember that year we turned pro as 7-man Tipman Effect. Like I looked at it as, like I made it.
Yeah.
But it's still, I still felt like, even though I had the title, I felt that the actual pro level was here, and I was like right here.
Yeah.
I just needed some step, and that whole season playing in the MPPL 7-man, I played my lights out. Lights out. I was on, not necessarily I was on fire, but I felt super focused that year.
Yeah.
And I remember times playing on Tipman and playing against like Dynasty. We played Excessive. We played all these other divisional teams and everything. And we never placed super high. I mean, we won our games and not, but like I was never like felt sorry for ourselves or anything like that. Like I was going there to compete, even though I had a M16 in my hand as a tournament marker, size wise, not rate of fire. Yeah. But it was so much fun that year.
That's awesome. You always know the years when you're focused.
Right?
Yeah.
So what happened after that? What was kind of your what was the journey after that?
So I was in the battle to be a Hurricane from that point on. I remember the first national event I went to was Huntington Beach, and I was driving down the boardwalk with my dad, and I think I was 12 or 13 years old, and I was like, I think I want to live out here. And I told him I wanted to be a pro paintball player, and lo and behold. Mm-hmm. But so at 16, I got a shot. I went pro at 16 with New York Extreme when a lot of the old guys left and the Hurricanes took over. And I was basically that kid that they were like, go short, shoot this way, don't die. And I got to play 2 points, So I went pro with them at Riverside, which was the second to last event in 2006. I played World Cup with them. And then at the end of that year, they basically told me NYX was hurting. They weren't sure if I was going to get a spot. And I just wanted to be pro, man. That's all that mattered to me. And I kept being told, you need experience, you need experience. So shortly after I went pro, Excessive, 2006, crazy, awesome Excessive, broke up, and they were looking for players.
I remember
through a long chain of events, I knew Junior Brown pretty well, and he was moving out to help with the new Excessive squad. So I got a call for the tryouts. Flew out literally like a day later to try out for Excessive. Got a call back. Flew again the next weekend. Got on the team, And then here's where it got real crazy is, so I finally made pro. I had to go quit NYX officially. I joined Excessive at the beginning of 2007, and that was my senior year of high school. Every weekend, my senior year, I'd get dismissed the last period, 1 period early on Friday. I'd fly to Sacramento, practice Saturday, Sunday. I'd take a red-eye flight home Sunday night. I'd land in Boston around like 6 a.m., and my dad would pick me up and drive me straight to school. So I'd get there like a little halfway into first period every weekend for a year.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Dude, it was so rough when I was playing for Excessive and I had to fly out there for practices and whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's a beast, man. I think if you asked me to do that now, I'd struggle. But at the time, it was like, yes, I'm pumped, I'm ready. No, like,
you're young, determined.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
It was great.
Now, you were on that team for you were on Excessive for how long?
Only a year.
Only a year.
Only the year. Yeah, I left Excessive at the end of 2007 for the Ironmen in 2008.
And you tried out for the Ironmen, made the Ironmen?
Yeah, so I tried out. I actually flew down there with Johnny Perchak. And obviously I'm on a plane with Johnny Perchak, and I'm like, this legend. I'm flying down with him. Like, how am I ever going to make this team? You know? And on the team already was this incredible line. It was Brandon Short, Oliver Lang, Nicky Cuba, like all these dudes that I've been watching on VHS, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of put our age in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I flew down there, and I ended up making the team. So I played for Ironman all of 2008. But that year was real crazy because I got my spins. You know, I got a lot of reps throughout the year. And then towards the end of the year, I started losing them. I think I just wasn't playing up to par with the other guys. Right. And at the end of 2008, the team won World Cup back-to-back. And I didn't play a single point at World Cup. It was absolutely devastating. My whole family was there. My sisters had never seen me play pro. This whole 9 yards. I was broken, dude. And then funny enough, at the end of 2008, the Ironman cut me. And it's the only team I've ever been cut from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. Now, is that when the impact thing kind of happened too?
That was later. All right, so I'll kind of hyper the timeline. So that was 2008. 2009, I was trying to survive, and I was playing for two teams from 2008 until basically when they stopped everybody until 2011. You remember how everyone played for two teams?
Yeah.
So, in that time period, I played for Explicit, Bushwhackers, Aftermath, Oakland Assassins, Aftershock in 2010, and then I joined Infamous in 2011. And that's like
when things started
serious. Yeah, 2010. The year that we made World Cup finals, dude. Green jerseys.
Green jerseys.
Yeah, the team was me, Tim Montresor, Sam Monville, Nick Sloviak, Zach Patient, Chris Oseen.
Was that against the Russians? The final?
Oh yeah. Everyone remembers that game.
Man, 2010. That's so I stopped. I had a little hiatus 2009 to 2013. So I literally I didn't really even follow paintball during those years until probably 2012ish. I kind of started watching it again. So I have this whole chunk of paintball years that I missed. That I had no idea what was going on.
They were intense.
Yeah. So you played so Aftershock 2010.
Yep.
The whole season?
The whole season. Yeah, I've never left a team mid-season. I feel like that's like cheating on someone. You know, it's like the thing you don't do is leave mid-season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was always happy with my teams. You know, there was always good reason at the end of the year to leave.
Right. Well, I feel like it's always a year to 2 years where things just are kind of thrown up in the air, where it's like sponsorships or the team itself folding, players leaving. It's always that kind of 2-year period where it's nobody really knows what's going on.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah,
it's so true.
So who came up? Who was next after Aftershock?
So after Aftershock, I joined down and I tried out for Infamous. So I ended up playing for Infamous 2011 and 2012. And 2012 was actually the first time I ever won a tournament with Infamous. like ever
Nice.
in my career. And we won Chicago's back to back. It was awesome.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, funny enough, so 2012 I played for Infamous, and then years down the line, I played with Tim Montressor again for multiple years, and he basically was giving me a pep talk one day. He's like, "Yeah, dude, I didn't even know your name until 2012," and I'm like, we were on the same team, bro," and, like, and he goes, "Yeah, but you were just some kid, like, blah blah blah." And I was like, "I was a starter on Shock with you," and we went back and forth, but I think.
Yeah.
As a pro in general, like how you were saying, when I went pro, I was here, but the pro tier was really up here.
Right.
2012 is when I hit that tier, when
Yeah.
I like started making a name for myself.
Yeah, it was. Man, those were the years too, because I feel like for me that was. I wouldn't say. I think 2004 I made it. Like at the end of 2004 when I actually got picked up by Excessive, I felt like I made it,
Yeah.
but I wasn't where I wanted to be as far as skill level goes and everything. So I made it to that level. Now I just need to become a pro, in my eyes. And I don't really think I don't really think I made a name for myself until, man, I don't know, like maybe 06, 07.
100%.
I feel like 05 was, I'm still trying to fight for me to be there, and not that I felt like I was threatened, like I was going to get cut or anything, but I just felt, I was the young kid. I was trying to fight for my relevance on the team, and I think it was 6, 7, half that year or the year 06 on Excessive, and then when I started playing for Avalanche in 07 is
100%. From outside perspective, like your name came up in 05, everyone knew it in 06. And then 07, like you were Carl, like you already existed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird. It's weird too, because I remember seeing from and hearing from other people's perspectives, like even your whole story, like bringing up the impact thing. Like I know these little blips because I've I've heard your name too, and kind of followed you here and there and here and there, and now now to here, I've just kind of followed your whole. I kind of follow everybody especially who's really nice, because I think you're like one of the really nice guys, so I kind of know kind of all those guys. And
you and I can narrow down the nice guys real quick. Like, all right, that dude's cool. This dude, he kind of sucks. Anyway.
Yep. Oh, and I can be an asshole if I wanted to, but I don't like being an asshole. So it's like, there's no reason. I'm having fun.
But that means when you are an asshole, everyone pays attention because you're not normally. If you're an asshole all the time, no one cares.
Mm-hmm.
My theory.
Yeah, unless I'm being told otherwise. Maybe I'm just being.
Make it up.
So let's see. So you were on. So let's see. I went back to, you were Aftershock 2010. Then you were Infamous 11 and 12.
Yep.
You guys won tournaments and everything. So what happened? What happened at that point after 2012?
So like I said, I kind of established my name in 2012.
Right.
And up until, man, really up until Infamous, I was still paying for paintball, like paying my hotel and paying my food and, all the little nuances, paying for some practice paint here and there. And then, so in 2012 was the first time I got like anything really, I got a couple axes. And I was like, oh, you and I know what axes are worth. Let's be real. But
axe plus cash, bro.
Yeah, bro. So at the end of 2012, Dave Baines is actually my local field owner here in Sacramento, and he was with Impact. And he basically was like, well, are you interested in leaving? And I'm like, not really. I really like the Infamous guys. Well, then not a couple days later, I get a call, and they're offering me a salary to play for Impact. I'm like, oh my God, right? So I'm really happy with the Infamous guys. We were good. We had a great team. So I was like, hey guys, I really appreciate it, but no. And of course they're mind blown, right? They're offering me a salary and I'm getting axes. So I hang up the phone, and an hour later I get a call and they're like, look, we'll give you a little bit more. And they give me the number, and I was like, yep, I got to leave. I'm in college. I'm broke. I'm working a job at 4 a.m. before class to like make ends meet. And now I can just play paintball and personal train. Yeah, I'm in. Let's do this.
Right.
So I jumped on the Impact 2013.
Yeah, dude, that's hard to argue with. That's really hard to argue with, especially because your dream was to go pro, and now there's always these steps, after you make it to a certain spot. And, after you made pro, you want to figure out how to make a living doing this, to continue doing this. And it's really hard when numbers like that are set in front of you and like just to play paintball.
Yeah, and this wasn't like the Impact that everyone knows now. This was Impact still growing. Like they were a good team, not great. But it was the same year they picked up Justin Rabikoff. So I mean, the team was stacked, and we took second place after second place after second place that year. It was heart-wrenching.
Yeah. I didn't even know they were paying guys back then.
Yeah, I mean, it was nothing crazy, but as college goes, any money's good money.
Things cost money. So
yeah, true that.
And you played with them for how many?
Just 1 year. When I joined Impact, I thought I was going to retire with that team. I was so happy. Yeah. Bart, Yakimek, the team, those dudes are awesome. Bart's one of the best owners I've ever had. Like, those dudes are great. So I literally thought I was done when I joined Impact. Not so much though.
What happened?
So Heat had been calling me since 2012. But the first year they made the team, they were like, hey, we can't tell you who's on the roster, blah, blah, blah. And it was because the Russians were still coming over. No one knew yet, that kind of thing. So I didn't know Sarge and Mama D, the owners at the time, so I just kind of brushed it off. Well, 2013 came around, Heat's established. They called me and they offered me money, and it was more than what I was making on Impact. And I was like, wow, like here's a chance to truly be full-time. Because even on Impact, I was working 40 to 60 hours a week as a personal trainer. So they called. I told them no, even though it was great money. Yeah. And then they called back and they were like, hey, we'll take you, your friend Tim, and your friend Ryan. Because basically Impact had knocked out Heat 3 or 4 times that season, like out of the tournaments. So they were trying to break up Impact and build a team, right? So they called, and I was like, okay, maybe if you're taking all 3 of us, like, let's see what happens. And a day later, I got a phone call with a salary that I could not believe to play paintball. And
really?
I couldn't say no. I truly couldn't say no. So lo and behold, I ended up leaving at the end of 2013 with Tim Montresor and Ryan Moorhead to Houston Heat, and I was a full-time paintball player. That's all I did. I played the European Series, I played the NXL or the PSP at the time, and sold my guns and jerseys. That was it.
Man, I mean, how realistically thinking, I mean, I don't know how much those guys are getting paid now on Heat or on Impact, but I mean, how long do you think that realistically lasts? I mean, do you think it does last? Do you think there's this time where it kind of becomes, what do I do now? I mean, is insurance involved?
Yeah, no, I totally get you. I mean, so. I think to some extent, some of it could last. As a full-time gig, no. I don't think it can last now with the stage that paintball's in. But flash forward, I played for Heat for 3 years, and I know I'm not going to get paid to play paintball forever. So I actually ended up quitting Heat because I got a job selling paint for a competing company. So I was like, I can go get a salary working in the industry, like we had talked about at the very beginning, and continue to play paintball. It required me to leave Heat, and I was like, okay. I get it. I love what I do, but I can't be an athlete forever. So we're going to try to be smart and get this job. So I don't think it lasts.
Yeah, well, at the pay now, the pay's not going to last. The pay is not, and I think that's what I would love to see in the future, because I feel like so many of these athletes, even of extreme sports, once they make it to a certain level, it's like it's life changing. Right? I mean, it's life-changing. Yeah. It's almost, in some, it's life-securing. But it's like a minimum wage job for some. I mean, they're getting paid, but it's like a minimum wage thing, even maybe a little bit more. But it's kind of like, it's just kind of a thing that goes from year to year that's not really setting me up for the future. It's kind of just good for right now. I mean, obviously I'm speaking from outside the box because I've never been paid like that to play, but I can't imagine anybody sticking around because they're going to be there for, 5-6 years and life's going to be changing because of being on this team or whatever it is.
I fully agree, man. Like I grew up with a dude who ended up going to the NFL, and I think his first year recruited, he made $800K. Like that's a good start. That's life-changing shit, Yeah. But I'm with you. I think being a full-time professional paintball player was my goal for a long, long time. So I got to that point. I enjoyed it. I would still enjoy it, but life changes, man. I had other goals. Like I want to drive a Lamborghini, like before I'm too old to drive one, So paintball's not going to buy me a Lamborghini. I know that.
Yeah, we hope. But I mean, I think that's yeah, we'll see. But I think that's my goal with maybe the future of paintball. I plan on being involved in the industry in one way or another. Maybe not. I would say, industry/sport. And that's one of my goals, is to actually make paintball life-changing for players, for teams, make incentives for teams to be able to play, and be able to pay their players, and not have it be only the top teams able to pay for these players to play, and then now you have all of these other teams struggling to try and make time to compete, to practice, to be able to compete against the top teams who are really doing nothing but practicing with each other and going out and having fun and getting all this camaraderie and playing paintball on top of that. So it's like, I want that kind of level playing field, to where it's, all these teams are able to do that with their players, and we have a lot of things that we kind of have our hand in that we're trying to figure out. But I think one of the biggest mistakes right now, or I don't want to say mistakes, maybe bad decisions or decisions not made, are because right now all we have in the industry is paintball companies. I mean, why is paintball so addictive, whether it be competitive paintball or tournament or scenario paintball, big games or whatever? Why is it so addictive for the player and the companies that are in paintball to grow and get big, but we cannot seem to narrow down any outside company more than a year or so and have interest and stick with it and really kind of start slapping logos all over the place? Why have we not been able to solidify that? And I think that's the question that we right now are trying our best to answer. I'm not speaking for the NXL. I'm not speaking for any of the other companies, right? I'm saying it from a player's perspective and possible future venture perspective. How can we answer that question, and how can we make paintball and something that is understandable and viewable to somebody who can easily jump onto Twitch and watch something like that, or watch a pro gaming thing, or whatever. How can we grab all of that and turn it into something viable for a paintball player to actually be able to live their life? So that's one question that it's kind of a few questions.
A lot of questions. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of questions, but I think the answers are out there. I don't think we've asked the right questions. I don't think we've pursued enough. I don't think we've thought about it in the ways that we should yet. And I think that's our biggest problem. I think we're giving up on old questions, which we should be, but I think we're giving up. When we give up on that, I feel like people just throw it to the wayside and say, well, it's never going to happen. It's not going to happen. I just don't think we've done the right thing yet. I think we've come close, but I just don't think we haven't opened the right door. It's there. It's just not open yet.
Yeah, I fully agree. I should have taken notes on that, because I had so much to say, but you asked a lot of questions.
Yeah, sorry.
So no, that's okay. I'm all about it, man. I love paintball. I think from players making a living and changing their lives standpoint, I don't think it's that needs to happen because we need to equalize the competition and the ability of teams to get players and that kind of thing. I think that needs to happen because dude, I'm 29 years old, and I'm pretty sure I've shaved like years off my life playing paintball.
Oh, 100%.
Just
Yeah.
the lost sleep. It's you versus the ground, not you versus paintball. You know what I mean? Like the number
The
of
ground
dives
always
you
wins.
take in, the ground always
Yeah.
wins, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I've beat the shit out of myself because I love the sport. Like I would love to have some money in the bank to show for it too. So I think
Right.
like that's why the money thing has to exist. But from a paintball standpoint, I always compare paintball to sports like volleyball or tennis. You can't play paintball or tennis or volleyball with someone who doesn't know how to play because you can't stay in play. You can't keep the ball in play. You can't enjoy the game. Paintball has a thousand balls to follow instead of one. So you have to understand the game before you can go out there and really enjoy it. Scenario paintball does really well because you can be whatever you want to be, man. You can be a Wookiee out there with a grenade and just make up your own thing, you know what I mean? But in competitive paintball, you have to understand. And the difference between that and anything else that's taken off, like you compare it to video games because everyone does because we have guns and shoot people. One, everyone's soft these days, so nobody wants to be physically active. And two, there's no standardized map. So let's say we change the layout every time, which we have to because paintball's ever growing and the players are outgrowing the rules. Can you imagine if we still shot 15 balls a second? We'd never miss off the break.
I wish.
Yeah, you and me too.
But I wish it was I wish it was semi-auto.
So I've been told, I say semi-auto too, but I've been told that if we go semi-auto, they said a handful of players who are in the industry said, I will have a cheater gun and I will not get caught. I promise you.
I think that's bullshit. I think that's
so
bullshit.
too.
I think it can be regulated.
I think so too. They tell me no, but here's what I said. If we're going to go semi-auto, I think we need to go semi-auto, bring the guns to a faster speed, and make the game more athletic because people love gore. I think you could compare paintball to MMA. Give us weapons, stick us in a cage, and let's go bleed each other out and see who's the last man standing. You know, like people love watching that stuff.
Yeah. See, I think there's a I mean, there's a bunch of people who are like, oh, I'll be able to do it. I'll be able to flash my board. I'll be able to. Okay. First off, why hasn't anybody done that now? Right? It's because it's regular. They're all stock boards, right? It's all regulated. So why would it change in semi-auto if they're all stock boards? And especially if we can do something to where it's like we can, the whole. See, I was always thinking about this, right? If we had inspections before the teams went out or whatever, or we inspect the markers before they go out onto the field. Each one has to be tagged and everything like that. Like simple things. Like how many times have you gone to an NXL tournament and your paintball tank has been checked by a ref for hydro dating and all that bullshit? 0 time. See, there's a lot of small, minuscule things that I think are overshadowed by just bigger things, I guess, in the atmosphere, paintball atmosphere. But it's small little things. So like if we had, a package that's like, don't accept if this seal is broken, or some shit. I mean, you can incorporate that into, if somebody wants to flash a board, don't they have to open up the frame and connect to the board itself to be able to like change settings and shit? I'm not a computer technician. I'm really asking. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm saying if we were to be able to do something like that, and a lot of the markers now, they have the batteries in the foregrip, and the board is in the frame still. And if we had something to where if you broke that seal, you can no longer use that marker.
I love where your head's at, but like the M3 has Bluetooth charging. So what says I can't just Bluetooth and upload?
So does it transfer the information by Bluetooth, or does it just charge by Bluetooth?
It doesn't currently, but the gun itself has Bluetooth. So what's the difference between that and me connecting my phone to Wi-Fi and uploading a new update?
I have people who could probably answer that question.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to.
No, me neither, but like I feel like that's what the text would tell me. They would just say it much more intelligently.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, and who knows? There might be a way to do something or to not do something. But I think these are all questions that we can answer. But because we have to do something. Like my biggest thing on the ramping markers, and everybody thinks it's taking everybody to the same level. like I said, like I feel like that's fucking cheating, because I feel like if this guy, and I've said it on the, I'm beating a dead horse with this thing, but I feel like if I think it's unfair if I can shoot fast with my left hand and control you with my left hand, because you can't shoot left-handed, because all you can do is do this and hold 10 balls a second, because you can't walk a trigger or control your marker like that. I feel like I'm at a disadvantage now because I can't shoot more paint at you to shoot you in or whatever. Now I have to do it with less paint. Yeah. But we're allowing these people to not learn this skill and be able to do this and shoot, 10 balls a second with one finger and just do this and just continue shooting and shooting and shooting. And I'm not even talking about, like, because a lot of the pros do it, but I'm saying, like, for the kids that are coming up that need to learn these basic skills and these gun skills and how to actually control your marker rather than the marker just continually shoot. I feel like these are skills that they're losing, that they don't have to learn.
Dude, I fully agree. I fully agree. I think we lost a whole generation of players because of coaching in the game, because they never learned how to play. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I fully agree. Yeah.
Oh my God. It was cancer. It was poison, dude. It was like you are taking this, exactly what you said, this whole generation of players who have this potential, and you are just completely wiping anything that they knew out the window, or trust or confidence in themselves completely out the window, because now they're relying on whatever you're fucking yelling at them to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that was, but that's paintball. That's an every 2 years experimental thing. Let's see what happens, and then after those 2 years, we'll just kind of change shit around, and then see if that works for 2 years.
Dude, I think it's because it's still a growing sport. I know it's older, but we went through some generations that were pretty tough, and paintball evolved, and the guns evolved, and the guns outgrew the sport. And then the players outgrew the rule, changed the rules. And I truly believe that. Like, if you look at an old X-ball field, nobody would go anywhere. Everyone would play the pocket because there wasn't enough bunkers. Nobody would ever miss. Like, it's crazy. And I think people are starting to see that in other sports. Like, you look at Steph Curry in basketball. Yeah, their team's not unbeatable, but that dude almost never misses. Like, they're going to have to change the size of the court or something if 10 Steph Currys are on one team. Like, that rule change is coming in other sports.
But there's not very many like him. But a lot of those players on that court can dunk a basketball.
Yeah.
So what I say is they raise it by a foot. Raise the rim by a foot, and now shooting dynamics change, jumping and dunking dynamics change, just by raising that rim by another foot. And everybody's 8 foot tall anyway, so what the fuck does it matter? And I'm not a basketball fan, but I feel like
it's the art of the game. Those rules have stayed true and steady, but it wasn't until now that more players have evolved in the game. Like, yeah, there was the Michael Jordans and the Larry Birds, but like now there's more players doing more incredible things because their skills are so good.
And they're playing that much more, I feel.
Paintball's the exact same way.
See, and like, okay, see, and I think that's what it is. Like, thinking about it, like everybody had the potential to play sports and whatnot. Especially, all the pros throughout the years and all the sports, they all got to that level for a reason, right? And I think now what's slowly happening, or what's happened now, is I think that the more the generations go forward, the more of whatever sport they play, they play that sport more. Their workouts now and their body is now more honed in than what the previous generation is, because they, because of technology and because of lifting weights and workout programs that I'm sure weren't around 5-10 years ago or whatever. And I think it's just that. I think it's people are playing more. There's more information out there that you receive more quickly, rather than over a period of a few months. You now get that within days. And I think it's getting to that point where it's like you're going to have players who if they're given the right recipe, they're going to be Division II and maybe turn into a pro within a year, I would say. Or two.
Yeah.
I could see players doing that because the process is just speeding up so well, and people are playing so much, and people are getting so good so quickly. Maybe.
They are, but the game is changing, dude. Like, there's so many players out there, and the phrase I used to describe it is big fish, little pond. I go do clinics all over, and I'll go and I'll see, like, there's a player with a ton of potential, but he's lazy. He doesn't do the drills. He shows up, he dunks on his local area, and then goes home, and he thinks he's the shit. And it's like, well, you're not, because if you go pro, like, we will destroy you. You will literally be sitting on the pine the rest of your career. But because they do so well in their area, they don't work hard. And it's a generational thing. And I've literally pulled players aside that I think have potential and been like, listen, dude, here's how it is. Like, I think players are getting good fast, but they're learning the wrong things. Like, I would not be comfortable retiring right now because I don't think I've met someone that I would be okay putting in my spot.
Right. That makes sense. That makes total sense.
I don't.
No, I know what you mean, man.
This gap.
There is, and it's tough because you can't do that. You can't rely on yourself to be able to fill that position when you're not there anymore. And I think that's why for us it's tough to look at, because it's like we're we try and bring these players up and we try and tell them what they need to do, not necessarily what they need to do, but how they should do something. And it's up to them. I mean, once it comes down to it, it's like you were telling that kid when you pull him off to the side. If you're comfortable, you're not in the right mindset. Because once you're comfortable, you are content. And if you're content, there's no reason to work hard anymore. And that's a bad mix. If you don't want to sharpen your sword anymore and you think you have the biggest sword, that sword is eventually going to get dull. Yeah. And a small sword will fucking cut your head off. And it's not going to matter how big your fucking sword is.
It's so true, man.
Yeah, it's now a club instead of a sword. It's not going to work very well. But, and I think, that generational mindset, you can, the millennials or however the fuck you want to call it, it's you have to have the attitude. You have to want it no matter what and let nothing stop you. And it's that, that's how I was. When I went through relationships when I was younger. I'm sure you did too. I went through my family questioning my decisions on life of not going to college and rather, and playing sports in college, to flying across the country to live in Seattle and try and help manage a paintball field and go after my paintball career. So there's been a lot of questionable things that happens, but it was because I was dedicated to do them, and I was wanting to take the risk, and I knew that I would not get to the position that I wanted to be, which was one of the best in the world, if I didn't take the risk, if I didn't do it, if I didn't put that myself forward. You have to set the ego aside, kind of a thing.
Yeah, well, it's set the ego aside, but it's also you get to a point where you have a leap of faith, where there's a million other things that make perfect sense. And you should go do those things if they make perfect sense and you're comfortable with them. Mm-hmm. But if it makes perfect sense and you don't feel comfortable, that's when you take the leap of faith and you move to Seattle and manage a paintball field, or move to Sacramento and spend $30,000 on college that you could have gone to for free, Like,
yeah.
There's those crazy decisions where you're only going to get through it if you are 100% of the time.
Yeah.
But that's why there's only 200 of us, man.
Right. Yeah. Right. And it's because, sometime during our career or whatever, or our life, we stepped back and we went, you know what the hell?
Yeah.
What do I have to lose? What do I have to lose? Yeah. And that's kind of what it takes. And I think a big issue now, and I think it's with kids in general, with having the internet. I sound like such an old fuck right now, but with kids having everything so instantaneously in their hand and having this information, quote on air quotes, and all these things that are just at their fingertips, I feel like it gives this generation and these kids this false sense of knowledge or false sense of confidence. And meaning that because they see these videos on YouTube or online or whatever like that, they think they've experienced it. So, I know I've seen it before, man. I know what's going on. I know what's going on, but, until you actually step outside your comfort zone and you listen to yourself and you listen to other people and you be a fucking person of the, not necessarily of the times, but just go experience shit.
Yeah.
And it's just so tough. And I feel like until those players step out of that zone of false confidence or a false ego that they think they're the fucking tough shit because they're the best at their local field, until you step out and you look at yourself and you go, okay, yeah, I might shit on these guys, but how would I stack up against anybody? Like, where do I want to go? What do I want to do?
Yeah.
And against my friends playing on fields and everything, I knew that we were the best in the area. At least to me, I thought we were. And I was like, you know what? Every time that we stepped on the field, I turned around and I looked at them like, all right, I'm going to the other side. You guys stay over here. I know that we're the best here. And I'm not going to get anywhere if I just continue playing with you guys, no offense, and we just shit on everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not learning anything. I'm not getting better. So I'm gonna go this way. You guys go that way, and let's fucking play. And I that's the mentality that needs to happen. I think it comes down to, remember, I mean, like it's like we say too when we say grow the sport, and it's going to be people at local fields who are not shitting on, making these kids scared because they're shooting the shit out of kids and they're shooting the shit out of everybody and everything. It's like that thing right there. It's like, check yourself, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And just you're hurting. Not only are you're fucking it up for everybody.
Yeah. Hands down. There's nothing to even add to that. That is what it is.
Yeah. I talk too much. But okay. So all right. So we got. I want to get through your career. I have fucking rants of the asshole, but I want to talk about Chicago.
Sure.
Because y'all got second place.
Missed first place by a couple of shots, man.
But that is that's nothing to shake a stick at, man. That field was intense. I enjoyed that field. I wish that would be World Cup field. I would put my vote in. I would sign a petition to have that field at World Cup. That's how much I enjoyed that field.
Shit, man, me too.
I know, right? Let's just sign a fucking petition. But walk me through what how did you guys get to that spot of where you were on Sunday in the afternoon? How did that kind of come about? Did you guys kind of see that? Was it a feeling that you guys had on the team, or was it kind of like, oh shit, we're here? You kind of just open your eyes. You're like, everything was a blur until Sunday and in finals.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't a blur. We just took it one game at a time. So like, it was the most calm that I've ever experienced the team in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Everyone was just really focused, and the story as to how we got there is really short. We only played a handful of points against other teams. In practice, we played a lot against ourselves, and we drilled the shit out of very specific shots and very specific reads. And when we went out there, Todd never gave us a play. We would watch the other team line up, and we had created this system where however they lined up, we knew what all five guys were going to do based on that. Mm-hmm. And you can only juke someone so much, like a back center switches his gun last second, that kind of thing. But we had our reads down so well as to what the other team was going to do and how we were going to attack or defend that situation that literally at 3 seconds, we made the play. And I think it just made us really hard to predict and really hard to read, and it made us really dangerous.
You had to believe in the play that much more.
Yeah, you know what
I think because you guys are doing it.
Yeah, we had a lot of confidence because that's why, like, you saw one line play almost the whole event, and like I knew when Damien was with me, however they lined up, I didn't have to say, hey, I'm going to go here, hey, I'm going to go here. We would just watch the lineup, and he knew what I was going to do, and I knew what he was going to do, and we could react like without decision making in game because of it.
Yeah.
it it was smooth. Like there's no other way to describe it. It was really smooth.
Mm. Yeah, and I know that feeling. I know what you're talking about. We kind of had the same game plan going in. Bruno would call the line,
Mm-hmm.
and at practices, it was just kind of us just kind of flowing and just feeling it out and everything. And then when the tournament came around, it was kind of just like, okay, he would call play like every other or something like that, and we would kind of see what's working as players on the field, and then work from there. On Sunday, you guys had who in the quarterfinals?
Thunder.
Who had been playing good that event?
Yeah, really good. We beat them in the long points. They had been playing really good. They actually put us on our heels a couple of points in a row, but
Yeah.
I think that's where experience showed, and we just beat them in the long points. Just dink a dude out of his bunker, catch somebody on a bounce shot. Just, I guess, being more prepared is what you would call it. I don't want to sound insulting because they played really good, but I think that's what it was.
Yeah. As far as situational play, you guys were just you were figuring it out, or just see. It's tough too, because it's like a lot of people. I go back and forth with this too. Like a lot of people are like, well, the team that doesn't make the mistakes are the ones that win. To me, I feel like it's the ones that make the right decision at that time. Not necessarily the guy that makes a mistake, because a guy could be, he could be shooting you in, and then he looks this way kind of thing, because he might be holding two guys in. I mean, you know how that fucking works. But you, just at that time, you might come up and throw a couple balls over the top of a Dorito or something like that, and it might just, nick his goggles. It's not necessarily that he made a mistake. You just made the right decision at that moment.
Right.
And to play off it. So I think, yeah, not to insult Thunder, because they were playing well. I think, yeah, you guys just were making the right decisions at that point. And that morning quarterfinal game, dude, winning that is a boost to the confidence for sure.
Yeah, it feels like everything you thought was going right is actually going right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you guys rolled into semifinals against who?
Revo.
Revo.
Mm-hmm.
Now they were we practiced them. What was it? I think it was Thursday we practiced them. And I want to say it was like 50-50. I could be wrong. But I feel like they were beating us up in the morning, and then we kind of came back in the afternoon. But, they were holding their own, too, throughout the event.
Yeah. Dude, they took us to overtime for the second time in a row. They were just really consistent. They knew their shots. They stuck to their shots. It was hard to get through is what it was. Like, they just buckled down time and time again. They had their one or two aggressors on the Snake side, and then other than that, their back line was just a brick wall, dude. It was hard to get anywhere.
Yeah. But those are the fun games, though. Those are the fun ones. As for a front player, like those are the fun ones, because you have to be somewhat unorthodox to shoot those guys out.
Preaching to the choir, dude. I'm like falling backwards, shooting one-handed. Like, all right, he thinks I'm back here, and just diving forward, just hoping for the best.
Yeah, that's when you start playing a little bit slower, and you start playing the backs of snakes and everything like that.
Yeah. Well, let's be real. If I'm in the snake, shit has already gone terribly, terribly wrong.
Hey, man, snake, Dorito, as long as it's very far down the field, it's all the same. It's all the same.
Yeah, true that. Close bad guys are easy to shoot bad guys.
Oh yeah, dude. My shot is way more accurate within 20 feet than what it is like 20 yards. So, so going into finals, what was kind of the mindset through the team going up against a team like the Russians, who have just been kind of setting the standard as far as play goes and playing fields and everything like that?
I think the hardest part about going into the finals was not to worry about the other team. We knew their plays for the most part. We got a good read as to how they lined up, where guys were going to go. We understood. But it was a matter of not saying, okay, well, if they're going to do this, maybe we should do this. It was, hey, let's stick to our game plans. We know what works. Just have confidence in the guys next to you and play smart. Like, that was the hardest concept going in. dude, and it was a tight game. Like I've told other people, and no one will ever see it from my perspective because I'm the only one. But I swear we missed winning that match by me missing 2 shots, and I know the 2 shots off the top of my head. Like I missed them, I had it and I blew it, and that's why I feel they won. Obviously, no one's gonna think that, but
I feel you. I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, the art of competition, man. If you don't put it up on yourself, you're kind of a douche. Like,
I'm so hard on myself too,
yeah.
especially coming down to like knowing those shots that I missed, or the times where I know that you get that feeling where it's like I need to go run through that, but you second guess yourself, and
it's too late.
You know it's too late, and I know those moments at tournaments where I just like I think even like years down the road, like or months or whatever, I'll think about those shots and be like, motherfucking, how did I not shoot that guy?
Dude, tell me about it. Tell me about it. I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, those finals, like, they just played really, really good. We had a hard time shooting dudes off the break. The times that we did, they countered really well, especially on the snake side. I think Malloy played out of his mind, even for like Malloy status. And yeah, I walked away from that game, and yeah, second place sucks. It's the best we've ever done, but like, us placing well didn't really matter. Them winning didn't really matter. Like, yeah, I would have loved to win, but I felt great about what we did. And I'm at a point in my career where I could be not content, but I could be satisfied for the time being with that. So even walking away, I was like, well, I think I played good. I think the other guys played good. Like, damn.
Few small tweaks.
Yeah. Not even tweaks. Like, yeah, there's little things we probably could have caught up to, but just a few things going our way, like, how hard it is to win a tournament. I think just one or two of those things that happens to swing our direction for one reason or another.
Yep.
Next time.
That's paintball. There you go. It's gonna be fun, man. Let's we'll probably wrap it up here in a little bit, but I want to talk to you a little bit about BKI.
Sure.
So you are having is it a bunch? It's a bunch of guys, right? That are a bunch of pros that are together now. Are you guys doing collective clinics as BKI people around, or is it just mostly online kind of videos that you guys shoot and you guys put up?
It's mostly online. So I think there's 6 pros that are like actual coaches, like full time, and then we look for other guys to submit content, and we go talk to them. So like we just had Kyle Spica submit content, and he's not a full time coach. But the only clinic we go do together is the Paintball Combine summer camp and the Paintball Combine in Florida, like the actual combine. And those are incredible, dude. They're huge. We host a tournament at each one. It's an incredible experience. Like, everyone should go.
I want to go to that. Yeah.
Dude, you should go. Like, we would love to have you there. And obviously we just throw you in as one of the coaches and make shit happen. Like, it's a ton of fun.
It looks like, but I think it's a great thing. I mean, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I think it's a great thing that we need as the competitive side of paintball, at bringing people in and trying to make people better. And I think this is one of the best ways to do it, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, what's crazy is like the paintball summer camp. You've done a lot of clinics, so you can relate to this. Like, sometimes there's dudes that do engage, there's dudes that don't. There's dudes that are different skill levels. Like, it's really hard to get quality information across to a whole group of people like that. But with the summer camp that we did, we literally had like 5 full days of paintball, and we spent 24 hours a day with all the kids and adults that signed up for it. And you would be amazed what these people were able to absorb from day 1 to day 5. And now this year, going into the BKI Combine, it's actually going to be a combine, like an NFL combine, not a clinic. So we're actually going to get stats going, and we're going to get everyone on a national ranking, and they're going to have this whole thing like, how accurate are you? How fast are you? How fast are you able to break down the situation? Like, it's going to be a great way to get your name out there, let alone to learn. Yeah.
So if you guys you can't afford to go to a lot of clinics, save up and go to this one.
1,000%.
And be not necessarily be a part of a clinic, but be a part of something bigger than that. I feel.
Yeah, don't live in your little pond. Go big, man. Swim in the ocean. See how it feels.
Boom. Well, let's end on that, man. I really appreciate you sitting down and talking to me. I've always wanted to, a lot of I've learned this over the years. A lot of us know each other and are friends, but we only see each other 5 months out of the year for
true.
2 or 3 days. but we're good friends, and we've known each other for how many years,
Sure.
But it's good to actually sit down and have conversations with great guys like yourself. And I'm super appreciative for able to have this conversation.
Dude, thank you. I really appreciate it. Like I've seen a couple of episodes of the podcast, so I was really excited when you gave me a call. But I'm always happy to tell my story and get passionate about paintball along the way. So I definitely appreciate
Hell yeah,
it.
dude. Thank you. Where can people find you?
Everywhere. No, I'm just kidding. On Instagram, it's at Greg Siewers 14, and then on Facebook, it's my athlete page, which is G Siewers 14. But I'm on those 24 hours a day, and then I post a ton of stuff to YouTube as well, so people can always reach out to me there.
Awesome. So any questions about BKI or anything like that, they can reach you on any of those platforms.
Paintball, BKI, Ironmen, fitness, nutrition, the whole works, and now real estate. So I'm a jack of all.
There you go.
Throw it my way. I'm happy to answer.
Awesome, man. Thank you again so much, and safe travels, and we'll see you at Cup.
Sounds good, man. Thanks.
Take care, Greg.
Later, Carl.
Thank you, Greg, for sitting down and chatting with me. It was great to finally have a conversation. This is the first time that I ever have conversations like this normally with a lot of people in the industry, whether it be players or affiliates with the league or companies. I normally during or at paintball events or even outside of everything, if you're not involved or maybe really good friends, we don't really talk to each other that much or on the same team. So having conversations like this they're always a first, and I think it's so cool to be able to do this and learn so much about all these players that we've grown up to enjoy and to watch. So thank you, Greg, so much. Appreciate it, man. Let's also thank our sponsors, Charm City Paintball, Mike Thompson, great guy, amazing headgear. I've had nothing but great things that he has been coming out with. It's so cool to see handmade stuff and quality gear at that, to be able to represent the company. It's cool. He's only one guy too. He's not a big factory. He's not a team of people. He's one person pumping out all this headgear. So support small business and local business. So make sure you pick up some headgear over at Charm City Paintball, and yeah, own some custom gear. Appreciate it, Mike. Thank you. Also brought to you by Carbon Paintball. The thermal pods alone are one of the coolest things coming out of Carbon Paintball. They're always innovating. They're always trying to streamline everything and make it more not only aesthetically pleasing to the eye, but also the functionality level is insane. I personally enjoy the base layer, the tops and the bottoms. I wear them all the time. That is my protective gear. But they also make a really cool pack with an air pump inside of it to actually conform to your back. They have all kinds of very sweet stuff over at carbonpaintball.com. Make sure you check them out. Also, remember, use the promo code capital TPOP and you will get 10% off your entire order at checkout. So thank you, Carbon Paintball, and thank you to Planet Eclipse, the makers of the best markers on the planet, man. You've heard it here, and you've also heard me talk about the LV series all the time. It's because I just plain out simply enjoy it. It's great. I can't, everybody asks me, and they're like, well, why don't you like the CS1 or why don't you shoot those? I was like, those are great shooting markers, but I really truly feel that the LV series shoots way better. I mean, it just does. And anybody who shoots one, at least shoots mine maybe, tends to say the same thing. And I just not gonna lie about it, man. LB series, best out there. Just saying. But thank you to Planet Eclipse, appreciate it, and thank you to everybody out there for tuning in, greatly appreciated. Thank you to for all the love, for everybody, messaging me, or even just saying anything after my retirement video and everything. I appreciate it. Appreciate the support. It's amazing how this community can get together and and really let you know how it feels, whether it be good or bad. It lets you know how they feel. But it's been cool. It's been amazing, and I'm stoked to continue to be a part of the sport in some way. Who knows? I still don't really know how I'm gonna do it, but we'll figure it out. But remember, guys, please do not text and drive. Make sure you pay attention. Keep your eyes on the road. That's why I love this platform, because you can just throw it on and just go. And just keep your eyes on the road. There's too many people out there, and too many people not paying attention. So make sure you up your percentage of surviving by keeping your eyes on the road, please. Thank you all. Appreciate it. And we will see you guys here soon on the Playing On podcast. Peace.